After 8 years, something incredible just happened. History was made. Wind Waker just set a brand new world record. However, on the surface, that doesn't sound like something that out of the ordinary. I mean, world records are set literally every single day. But what makes this world record so special is that it took nearly a decade to happen. Someone finally completed the GameCube version of Wind Waker in a shorter time than the Wii U's HD record. Now, for people who are unaware, Wind Waker's HD version is not just a graphical upgrade when it comes to speedrunning. Many glitches were patched, and there are very few exclusive HD ones. But GameCube, on the other hand, is one of the most broken games and versions of all time. I mean, you can literally hover anywhere you want, climb up walls, walk through walls, and glitches that are truly just endless. The story of why it was so difficult to beat the HD version with such a glitch-heavy game is a wild one. From changes in the base game, to glitch discoveries costing a shift, to strategies involving a second controller coming in play. It has truly been a crazy journey to follow along these past 10 years. So, as a runner of Wind Waker myself, having ran both versions, I thought I would sit down and document this historic moment, and what the GameCube version had to do to finally overcome the HD version. So, I hope you will enjoy. Let's get right into it after a quick word from today's sponsor. With Christmas around the corner, a lot of us are going to spend time traveling, visiting family, and generally just having less time in front of our PCs. So if you're looking for something to keep you entertained during this, then you should check out today's video sponsor, Game of Thrones Legends. Now, this game captures the magic of Game of Thrones perfectly. You can assemble a team of your favorite Game of Thrones characters across the entire timeline, from Jon Snow all the way until Rhaenyra Targaryen. Game of Thrones Legends is an engaging RPG puzzle game where you can level up your team, take on epic battles across all the iconic areas that we've all come to love from this franchise. And you can even form alliances with your friends and compete against others across the entire world. The game is available right now, so if you want to have an awesome game to play while traveling or just to fill in those dull breaks, then be sure to click the link in the description of this video or scan the QR code in the corner of the screen, because if you do that right now, you'll be getting 50 free gold, 3,000 food, and a daily summon token to start off with your journey. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description of this video. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. But that being said, let's get back into the video. Now, for this story, it would take me hours if I were to dive into every single glitch or route change in the past 11 years. And I don't think my voice could handle that right now either way. So let's focus on the key parts that I think is most interesting and important. Starting with the launch of the HD version on September 20th, 2013. And the hype in the speedrun community was at an all-time high. The community had just found some of the largest glitches for the GameCube version, like dry storage, chest storage, super swimming, and so much more. But when HD version finally did launch, the community was very let down. Almost every single glitch that had been known was patched, with the only major exception basically being ledge clipping. Now, this led to speedruns of the HD version at the start pretty much becoming very similar to a glitchless run, with the exceptional minor skip here and there. But then as the end of 2013 rolled around, the first main glitch was found that worked on both HD and SD, and that was roll clipping. This let players clip out of bounds in almost any area of the game, leading to many smaller glitches in dungeons, but a major one as well, being a way to skip the entirety of the Helmrock fight on the HD version. And these skips shockingly put HD in the lead after only a few months since the game's launch. But how could that be? The GameCube version already had major skips in dungeons, including its own form of Helmrock skip. Well, as part of the HD version, Nintendo made a few key changes for the casual experience. Most importantly for us speedrunners, they added an option to skip the intro cutscene, they increased the text speed, they increased the sailing speed, and they also shortened the Triforce quest. So, despite the GameCube version being able to skip a lot of content, the HD version simply just had less content to get through, which made all the skips way less impactful. Because here's a fun fact you might not know. GameCube runners use the Japanese version because it saves nearly 20 minutes in just the text. But the Japanese version also loses some time due to Nintendo just being pure evil. Because if you thought the Triforce quest was bad on the GameCube version when you grew up, think again. The Japanese version does not have the international 8 Triforce charts, then translate them and salvage them. But instead, Japanese has 7 Triforce charts, and the gold chip that should give you the 8th one instead gives you a standard treasure chart, which leads to another treasure chart, which leads to another treasure chart, and another one, and then finally to the Triforce chart. That's right, the Japanese version has an additional 5 mandatory charts that is part of the base game's Triforce quest. But despite all of that, the GameCube version was just so broken. So when the community started to working on optimizing the route with the use of the Super Sim glitch, it finally worked. Because when the end of 2015 rolled around, the GameCube version was on top, beating the HD. And it looked like it was there to stay with all of its glitches. And that may be where the story used to end. But in the summer of 2016, as it turns out, it was HD's time to shine. And its first major glitch was just discovered.
And then I just tap this. You don't have to hold Z. I figured it out. You just tap the control stick, and look at that. You just move at warp speed. So I'm gonna move this way. So look how far I went. Look how far I jumped. I'm on oh my god, guys. I really do apologize, but I'm just freaking out right now.
That's right. A speed glitch had been found, and the community called it item sliding. Now, this is a complicated glitch, but in simple terms, this was a new HD exclusive glitch because it exploits how Link's speed is calculated when he's walking around in a first-person item, which was a new feature to the HD version. Now, this let the HD version finally super swim and also do many more skips and dungeons. And so, in July of 2016, the HD version was ahead of the GameCube version once again, and it was there to stay. Now, over the next year, times continued to drop on the HD version, furthering the gap to nearly 20 minutes ahead of the GameCube version. But it wasn't done yet, because then barrier skip was found, and it only worked on the HD version due to using item slides to perform it. Now this thing, it was like the biggest thing ever. It was truly the holy grail of speedrunning. It made the speedrun go from 3.5 hours to 1.5 hours. It lets you skip every single dungeon in the run and the entire Triforce quest. It turned around and to pick up a couple of items, head down to Hyrule, clip through the barrier, and beat the game. Now, a lot of changes and optimizations to this route did take place over the next year. So in spring of 2017, the HD record was 1 hour and 30 minutes. But by the time summer of 2018 rolled around, the time was down to 1 hour. GameCube, still around 3.5. But this is finally when our stories starts to intertwine. Because after a year of HD having a way to break the game with barrier skip, the GameCube version finally got its own version. And times were dropping fast. Some very clever community members realized that you could do a glitch to fill up the available RAM in the game, which if done just right, caused the barrier to not even load at all. I actually performed this route live at HGDQ in January of 2020, if you're interested in seeing this route. But with all of the combined strats for the GameCube version now, the time was down to about a 105 compared to HD's 55-minute time. So the gap had been cut in half. But then, at the start of the year, in 2020, another GameCube find was made, a way to clip through the barrier with the use of a bomb. And this was a lot faster, and a much closer method to what the HD version had been doing, which made the race really start to show. The HD version worked on optimizing its time, and it dropped its record down to 52 minutes around the summer of this time.
52:29, baby, that's it. GG, world record. New any percent world record in 52:29. That is it. The sub 52:30 happened. Good luck beating that, SD. Good luck, good luck. I mean, you know, if you want me to push it down just a little bit more for you, I can do that. I can do that if you want. But you're gonna have to beat a 52:29 at Wabi. Just saying. You 52:46? No. Beat a 52:49 and then 29, and then we'll talk.
And GameCube was on its hunt and back. An immediate time save from the bomb skip clip pushed the record down to 59 minutes. And then a considered task-only strat was pulled out to try and make the impossible possible. One of the most legendary glitches in Wind Waker is Puppet Cannon Skip, which had been known to be possible for years at this point. But with the motivation of finally trying to one-up the HD runners, the runners on the GameCube version took on the task to perform this glitch in real-time events. Now, this glitch is hard. You have to be lucky, you have to perform a lot of frame perfect inputs, you have to mash the B button incredibly fast, all while knowing that this trick takes place at the very end of the run, and if you fail it, it's over. But runners, they did it, and times kept dropping, and in September of 2020, their time went down to 53 minutes, less than 1 minute away from the HD version. The gap that has existed for years at this point had almost entirely disappeared, and the GameCube version was almost on top. But the record was just too difficult. Iwabi's record of 5308 stood and stood, and it took over 2 years for another runner, Aloha Kirby, to finally beat it. And on September 27th, 2022, when he pushed the GameCube record time down to a 5219, it was too late. Because in those 2 years it took to complete this run, HD had made its final exclusive discovery that many thought would settle this debate forever. And that, my friends, was all thanks to this little thing called the Wii U Pro Controller. Now, the Wii U version runs very seamlessly. Using its Wii U gamepad and its inventory system lets you swap items seamlessly. And if you change to the Pro Controller, it completely changes its menu behavior. And as it turns out, here is the exploit. Because if you play with the Wii U Pro Controller and you press the Options button on the gamepad, there is a small delay in between pressing it and the menu popping up. So if you time it just right, so that you press the option and then enter a loading zone, the game will load the next area and then have the Options menu appear. This lets you then press switch to playing with Wii U gamepad and then just save and quit. And this would respawn you back in the game past the cutscene, completely skipping it. This now meant that the HD version could skip the intro cutscene, it could skip the long Helmrod cutscene, you can skip the Puppet Ganon cutscene, and even the final Ganondorf cutscene. Not only that, but since the GameCube runners had proven that a human could perform Puppet Ganon skip, HD did the same thing, removing that advantage. It made it so that once everything was said and done, the HD version, skipping almost all cutscenes in Puppet Ganon, dropped to a time of 45 minutes, while GameCube was still at a 52. We're back to a 7-minute gap.
Who do you think you are?
LFG
I am.
Elmo Tupac.
That's right, I did it! I did it! Who do you think you are?
But the GameCube record did not change. And it has stood like that for years until just 2 months ago. Now, if you watch my most recent YouTube video on Wind Waker that I released, you will know of some of what's about to come up. I highly recommend you to watch that video if you want a full speedrun breakdown, because it's mostly up to date, but in short, 2 big changes were found in recent times. One was a method to use the Tingle Tuner in Ganon's Tower, which led to a much faster Puppet Ganon skip. And then a new method for barrier skip that could be performed using only your sword, which now lets you skip bombs on the GameCube version. And this dropped the record down from a 52 to a mid-45, less than 1 minute away from the HD record. And it might just barely be possible. With the sum of bests being super tight, it would require a perfect run with no mistakes, but it could maybe just barely happen. And if this was the final discovery, this might have been where the video ended. It got close, but it was too difficult. But thankfully, the community was not done yet. Because after I released my video, one new thing was implemented to the route: a stick cover in Forsaken Fortress 1. Now this is a hard glitch. And not only does it let you skip Forsaken Fortress 1, but since you're now running through it, you don't get the consistent rupees, which requires you to now rely on RNG-based rupees later on in the round in Windfall. But the risk was worth the reward. It could save another 30 seconds on the run. And on November 5th, Aloha Kirby got a run with the new FF1 skip, with the new route, and got a time of 45:18, only 2 seconds behind HD. But then, 5 days later, on November 10th, 2024, Aloha Kirby got this run, a 45:08.
La version HD, ensemble, let's go. Oh là là, ouf.
Finally, after 8 years and nearly a decade, the GameCube version and its community had gone through the sheer willpower and determination, and with all of the testing and the glitch hunting, had overcome all the advantages that the HD version had, and had taken the top spot once again after nearly a decade. And that's where we are today. As runner of this game, having played both versions for nearly 10 years now, I cannot believe that the GameCube version is back in the lead. But this is what I love about speedrunning. People coming together from all over the world with different backgrounds, putting their heads together to work on one unified goal of pushing their favorite video game to its absolute limit. I want to shout out every single runner, glitch hunter, community member, and viewer who has been part of making this happen. It has been one of the highlights of my life, and I'm so happy to have been part of it. But that's it. That's the story of how this 8-year-old record streak was finally broken. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel for more awesome content like this. And please let me know if you like this new style, by the way, that I tried here today. Let me know in the comment section down below. And once again, don't forget to check out Game of Thrones Legends right now by using my link. Doing so will get you 50 gold, 3,000 food, and a daily summon token. Don't miss out. Check it out now.